I'm going to run through the service procedure to switch out the Freehub body in the new style Industry 9 Torch Freehub. First off, just to give you a bit of pre-warning, I have used an axle vise to loosen this end cap. Being a brand new wheel, the O-ring is incredibly tight. So the first time you do these, it's not a simple two-finger procedure to remove it. We've got soft jaws in our vise. I gently clamp the axle cap and yank on the hub. Once your wheels are a bit older, from a bit of movement, that O-ring is not quite as tight. So just a heads up there. So first thing, axle cap off. Next, and this is an easy, gentle pull, we pull the Freehub body, and you'll see I was unlucky and I lost a couple of the pawls and springs as I was pulling it out, which is fine because we have a nice clean workshop here at Rush Sports. So just using a dental pick to remove the pawls. So there's 3 pawls and the 3 springs are still in the Freehub body. And that is the empty hub shell there. So what you'll see is the drive ring, which is machined out of a hardened tool steel, and that's basically the surface that the pawls run on. Since they're out, I'll show you quickly how to reinstall the pawls. As I say, it's a 2-piece item. So you've got a pawl that locates in a small drilled recess in the Freehub body, and the pawl simply slides into the Freehub body using a small pick or flat head screwdriver to compress the spring. As you slide the pawl past, that then holds the spring in place. Can be a bit tricky the first time you do it, especially with big fingers, but essentially you locate the spring in that recessed hole. Once that's there, slide the pawl in until it presses up against the spring. Compress the spring so that you can get the pawl past. Again, pawl spring into its little recessed housing, grab my pawl, slide it into the Freehub body until it comes up against the spring. Use a flat screwdriver or dental pick to compress the spring, and there you go. So there is an XD driver off, and we are putting a Shimano driver on. So this Shimano driver has a small amount of lubricant already installed, basically 1 drop of Freehub lube on each of the pawls just to keep them working well. One thing to watch before you reinstall the assembly is there is a preload spacer, which you'll see I'm moving with my fingers, that runs between the bearings. Now that's to stop the entire assembly from getting crushed. So when you reassemble it, you need to make sure that it's aligned perfectly between those bearings. What I do is I simply reverse the process. So I ensure that's perfectly aligned, lay it flat on the workshop bench, and then from the top come in and just with a bit of a jiggle get my hub body down, and now turning counterclockwise with my left hand, I turn the Freehub body until it engages and push in gently at the same time. Replace the cap rather, give it a bit of a tap with your hammer, and then the cap on the other side, as you'll see, is removed because before we started filming we switched this hub out from a quick release to a 12 by 142 system. So I would replace caps on each side, and there we go.